Hello and welcome to Boatrek Live 14. These are my final thoughts on Star Trek Picard Season 1. Very disappointed. Don't hate the show, but I don't like it. There are certainly great moments, but overall it just didn't work for me. It was boring. It was too slow. It was 10 episodes. It was 6 episodes worth of content stretched out into 10 episodes. I was fascinated with the concept of Picard. He's retired from Starfleet. He's on his vineyard. I like his Romulan caretakers, Shaban and Laris. The first 2 episodes of the series I actually really like. And then we get into the third episode and it really starts to drag. And it turns out like the first 3 episodes were like the pilot. And they could have condensed that. They didn't need all of this like Romulan synth hunters attacking him at his vineyard. They're very bad at their jobs because they fail so hard to kill Picard, and they're employed by Larissa to take him out, but they're very bad at their job, even though they can transport pretty much wherever, and they would have plenty of opportunities to kill him, but whatever. I did like Soji toward the end. I think it's the Impossible Box is where I really started to connect with that character, and I like where she ended up toward the end. But characters like Rafi, the whole impoverished, living in a trailer in the middle of the desert, seemingly living not necessarily in poverty, but she seems like a poor person in this time period, and that doesn't make any sense. And she envies or chastises Picard for his higher status. I understand that like his family vineyard is something that's going to be passed down, like people's families, their ancestral homes and stuff. They wouldn't necessarily be taken away. Of course, some people don't have that, but in this world, you should be able to live a pretty decent life with everything provided for you. And Rafi's kind of out there in the desert smoking drugs and getting drunk, and I didn't really like the vaping. Showing vaping in a show airing in 2020 is just so stupid. I know it's an Orion vape pen, but come on. I did not like what they did with the 7 of 9 character. I understand that she's been through some things. She's very cynical now. She's a vigilante with the Fenris Rangers. But she's pretty much just a cold-blooded murderer now. The whole thing with E-Chip and showing that scene where his eye very graphically gets pulled out of his skull by a person who seems to enjoy doing that. It's very torture porn. It's not fitting with the Star Trek brand. It's a step too far, and the whole point was to show how mad Seven would be and how motivated she would be to avenge Egypt, and just showing that it comes across as cheap. And I would rather Seven be that vigilante who can, hold back her liquor now, which she couldn't do before, and be a badass and all that. But it's just all the characters are so depressing to learn about. I mean, once you find out about Rios's past with his captain, which is hinted at in earlier episodes, that's sad. Girardi's whole thing, she has to murder the man she's loved for years because she's messed up in the head, and then she doesn't really try to commit suicide, but almost kills herself to erase the tracking device that's within her, and she's guilt-ridden, and she's messed up, and she's sad, and Rafi's sad, and she can't see her son, and she wants to see her grandchild, and the son doesn't want anything to do with her because she was obsessed with the conspiracy theory that Starfleet had something to do with the Mars attack. There was a conspiracy, to which she tells Picard she has concrete evidence, to which we later find out she never had any evidence at all. It was just a theory. Kind of all over the place, this show. And this idea of synths going rogue, they have to ban them. It's this age-old thing of machine turning against man. And it gets to a point where we see glimpses of this admonition, and it's just cheap stock footage, and it's this disgusting old decomposing Fox video that they show over and over again, and it's so uninspired and so lazy and so cheap. It doesn't fit with the high production value you see in other parts of the show, so it's very off-putting in that way. Patrick Stewart does a fine job. There's odd behavior throughout the series with his character, like his decision to go into the Romulan bar and antagonize them, and seemingly spur a moment where Elnor would come and protect him, but it turns out like Elnor murders the guy, and then Picard chastises him for that, and you kind of think, like, what do you expect? And then there's stuff where he doesn't quite understand the Borg like he used to, or he forgot, because he's like, the Borg doesn't change, they metastasize. Then he's on the Borg ship with Q, and he's like, oh, the Borg are victims. They're, you knew that already. You were one of them. You of all people would understand that the drones themselves are victims. Like, what? That kind of thing frustrated me. I like the emotional scenes with Data. Seeing Data is always great. Brent Spiner. The whole Noonien Soon thing didn't bother me too much. It was kind of stupid, but whatever. Yeah, Elnor is a weird character because you think he's introduced in episode 4, I believe, Absolute Candor, and you think he's going to have this integral part. He's just kind of put over there. He ends up in the Borg cube, and he's more of a setup for season 2, like they might do more with him there. And I don't like the fact that when they find out Girardi murdered Maddox, they forgive her way too easily. They don't even confine her to quarters until they get it all straightened out. They still trust her. Like, she's not... there's no suspicion that she's still full of shit. And she could still be manipulating them through her crocodile tears, probably, but that's odd. Narek and Narissa, the whole brother-sister incest vibe stuff. The Romulannisters, as they've been called. That's unappealing. Narek is not that interesting. Narissa is like, if she had a mustache, she'd be twirling it because it seems like they want all the villains to sound just like villains until there are the moments where, Narissa is with her aunt, and it's the first time you see her being loving and tender, I guess. And it's like, why is it that every other time she sounds so catty and so campy? Really, it's camp. The villains are meant to sound like villains. Uh, yeah, the cursing, sheer fucking hubris. Didn't mind that. I thought that was kind of a running joke. Like later on when she tells Picard to shut the fuck up. I would like to see her in future seasons. She's been dubbed Admiral Potty Mouth, and I think they should reserve the F words just for her. They shouldn't be dropping them everywhere. It becomes tiresome and kind of tacky, because like Girardi's like, I can't fucking believe like I was so crazy. Fuck, fuck, fuck. But anyway, it's just have her in season 2 every time. It's like, wait for it. She's gonna say fuck this or fuck that. That would be cool to reserve the F word for Admiral Potty Mouth every time we see her, if she shows up again. I am looking forward to a season 2. But this whole thing about Picard becoming a synth didn't really bother me. It kind of ties into the moral of the story that synths can be like people. They can be as valuable as people as Data was to his crew. And now we're continuing now with Data's daughter. Data is like permanently gone now. Picard is a synth, but he's still an old man that may die soon. Except he doesn't have the aromatic syndrome, I assume, even though they don't say aromatic syndrome in the season. What else? Yeah. It's a strange show. I was so excited for it. Knew it wasn't going to be about Starfleet, and they said it was going to be different, and it was going to be very serialized, and it's going to be like a 10-hour movie. And there are some highlights. It's not as lens flary as Discovery, even though there is an unnecessary amount of lens flare. The whole deal with the secret federation of artificial life forms that are out there, that if you call upon them, they come and wipe out all organic life. I really don't like that. Yeah. Pretty much talked out. I don't really know what else to say about this show, but I know they tried. Michael Chabon didn't. I don't know if his sensibilities really worked for this franchise. He's no longer showrunner now, so whenever the second season happens, I hope we get to see Geordi and Worf. Yeah. And how about this new show, Strange New Worlds, with Captain Pike on the Enterprise? We're finally going to get another show about the Enterprise. So yeah. Can't wait for that. So I just want to thank you for listening to me ramble. And live long and prosper.